Good evening. Welcome to Left, Right and Centre. I'm Vishnu Showman. The programme this evening, well, it's cricket once again. In a couple of days from now, we'll be having a fantastic game of India-Pakistan cricket. But there have been politics, as usual. Whenever there is so much about India and Pakistan, it's happened again. There's been a dramatic U-turn. Pakistan reversed its boycott threat, and they will now play India in the T20 World Cup clash on the 15th of February in Colombo. After intense ICC mediation, that's the International Cricket Council, diplomatic pressure from boards like Sri Lanka and the United Arab Emirates, and the Pakistan government's own directive, the Pakistan Cricket Board confirmed that the team will take the field. They've cited multilateral outcomes and the spirit of cricket. Now, the Pakistan Cricket Board, some would say, was given very little in terms of a real option, given the ICC's immense financial muscle and the risk of massive revenue losses from cancelling the tournament's biggest draw. Now, cricket fans can therefore look forward to a blockbuster matchup. We've got a wonderful guest with us, Najam Sethi, the veteran Pakistani journalist and editor. I'll come to him in a moment, but also on the show, and it's a one-hour special today, on the eve of Bangladesh's parliamentary elections that's set for the 12th of February, the exiled Bangladeshi author and activist Taslima Nasreen delivered one of her fiercest attacks in years against the Muhammad Yunus-led interim government in an exclusive 20-minute TV interview with my colleague Aditya Rajkol. That comes up later on this program. But let's talk about cricket and the politics of cricket over here. Mr. Sethi, thanks very much for being with us. Now, you've framed this U-turn by Pakistan cricket as a victory where the ICC backed off, but some would suggest that the core reality remains that Pakistan is playing the match that they swore to boycott and that Bangladesh is still not a part of the tournament. If the goal was justice and respect for Bangladesh, how is playing a match against India in Colombo exactly as the ICC originally scheduled anything other than a diplomatic climb down?
Well, you'll recall that when the ICC decided not to accept Bangladesh's petition to play in Sri Lanka, there was ample time at that stage for the ICC to agree to do so, but they didn't. So the political trail actually goes back a long way between India and Pakistan, as you well know. We have always been ready to play in India. India has never been ready to play with us in Pakistan. And in fact, even in bilateral series, India has always consistently refused to play us. In fact, even in a third country. But then the hybrid model was established, whereby now Pakistan and India play in third countries. But Bangladesh, I think Bangladesh's grievances were fair because the secretary of the BCCI basically kicked out one of their players from one of your IPL leagues, which really sent quite a shockwave in Bangladesh because security obviously was not the issue. If security had been the issue, then kicking out one guy and then asking the team to come and play in India was a non-starter. So I think politics has been there. And I think this is the first time Pakistan has stood by Bangladesh and said, okay, if you're going to play politics, then we'll stand with Bangladesh. And I think that's what they did. And if I may just correct you, there was no pressure on Pakistan. There were requests. And the Pakistanis simply rolled the ball into the Bangladeshis' court and said, you decide. You're the one who's wronged. We stood by you. You have any issues? Tell us. You want us to play, we'll play. You want us to stand with you, we'll stand with you. The Bangladeshis then said, yeah, okay, fine. But we have some grievances with the ICC. And so the ICC then stepped in and said, okay, what is it that is bothering you? And I think then the ICC sent a team to Lahore. The Bangladeshis arrived. Everybody sat down to discuss what could be the way out. And that's how the whole thing in the end transpired. It was the ICC that took the first step. And as your own Mr. Shukla has said, that the initiative came from the ICC, not from Pakistan, not from Bangladesh. So, he said not just that the initiative came from the ICC, and he's on the ICC. He said that it was monitored by the chairman of ICC.
Okay, so but let me ask you this, Mr. Sethi, and this is sort of looking at it from a different perspective. By threatening a boycott, right, which is what Pakistan did, and then reversing it in 10 odd days under the guise of requests from friendly countries, has the Pakistan Cricket Board damaged its leverage in future negotiations, for example, over the hybrid model or revenue sharing, why should the ICC or the BCCI take a Pakistani threat seriously if it can be neutralized by just a few phone calls from Colombo, Dhaka and Dubai?
No, on the contrary, it has established the fact that Pakistan is a major player, and especially India-Pakistan matches are big revenue earners. And while Pakistan can afford to ignore those, because its impact on Pakistan's revenue is minimal, frankly, but its impact on ICC revenues and BCCI revenues is maximal. So now what has been established actually is Pakistan's leverage. That, yeah, okay, we could lose a point, we won't play a match, but just we are not giving up the tournament. So I think it's the other way around, really.
But so that's where there's, just for the sake of argument, this dispute. Some say that given the massive, whether it's broadcasting rights or the funds associated with India-Pakistan, I've heard numbers going up to 4,000 crore rupees. Pakistan didn't really have much of an option. If the ICC were to take action against Pakistan, for example, if a source of funding for Pakistan cricket were to come down, it's something which would hit Pakistani cricket, which is why you came to the table. That's what's also been suggested.
No, that's not true. You see, the thing is, it's the ICC that is going to be hit, not Pakistan. And that is why the ICC came to Pakistan. So now the thing is that what has actually happened is a good thing, that at the end of the day, everybody's been sensible. The ICC has realized that it can't play fast and loose like this. And the allegations on the ICC that you are really the BCCI in the emperor's clothes, it is hurting the ICC. And there's a lot of muttering going on. So my sense is that this has set a new, shall we say, minimum floor. In future, I think people in the ICC will be more careful not to threaten steps that they can't really implement. I must tell you, the Pakistanis have had a lot of experience dealing with lawyers and cases because BCCI has always been creating difficulties for them. And so therefore, I think this time round, they'll consulted all the stakeholders, and I think they felt that there was not much the ICC could do.
But Mr. Sethi, you've just accused the BCCI of bullying other boards, but in this instance, it was the Bangladesh Cricket Board itself that eventually requested Pakistan to play. If the very party that Pakistan was protecting asked you to stop the protest, does that suggest Pakistan's principled stand was actually out of sync with the rest of the cricket world from the beginning?
It was in sync with Bangladesh. That is absolutely true. Not with the rest of the world. The rest of the world in that board meeting stood on one side. Pakistan stood with Bangladesh. Pakistan was very upset that an inequitous decision had been taken. So it's actually the ICC that's backed off. And as you know now, there's a formal statement in which the ICC has promised various revenue-generating projects for Bangladesh. And the Bangladeshis are delighted. They had nothing to go, and now they have such a lot. So actually, they've gained a lot. Pakistan has established the fact that it can wield a particular weapon if there's injustice. And I think the ICC has realized that this is not the way to go about it. We need to be more equitable in all our dealings and in all our decisions.
So, Mr. Sethi, again, the other way of looking at it is that did Pakistan really gain a great deal for itself? Was there a signed commitment, for example, of a reciprocal India-Pakistan bilateral series? There wasn't. Was there some sort of agreement on a permanent hybrid model? There wasn't. Therefore, how would you respond to those who say that, essentially this was, face saving and it was an exit strategy?
The hybrid model has now been established, as you know, the Champions Trophy and now the World Cup. So there's no going back on the hybrid model. In fact, other countries may wish to join it, which is what that's the right that Bangladesh wanted to exercise. And that is what was rejected. I think next time round, it will be very difficult to reject such a request if it comes. Because at the end of the day, the ICC now recognizes that it's a government's decision. And this is what their statement implicitly accepts. And by the way, this is what the court judgments are also, that if the government says, no, sir, no play, it doesn't even have to cite security reasons anymore. It just doesn't have to say anything. And in fact, in a contest between the PCB and the BCCI in 2016, when the BCCI walked out of a contract and said the government told us we can't play, the court asked, well, do you have any evidence of it? And the BCCI said, we don't need any evidence. It was all verbal. And that's the end of the matter. And that judgment was upheld. So, now I think this is water down the bridge now.
Okay. And are you therefore hoping for some positive cricket?
I'm very much hoping for some positive cricket.
Our
Actually,
players
you
don't
guys
even
have
shake hands, Mr. Sethi. You know, there are
Yeah,
all
you know,
sorts of
that's
things which are said and hand
I
gestures and
think
all of that.
I honestly, Vishnu, I didn't want to go there, but you know where it all started this time around. The players refusing to shake hands. I mean, that's a tradition, a sporting tradition. I mean, we were quite shocked. And then the captain comes and talks about all other things. And then they refuse to accept the trophy. I mean, these are not things a top team does. And, you know, you are possibly the toppest team in the game. And so, you know, and you are the big revenue earner, and you are the big boss, and you are the big brother. I mean, one doesn't expect this sort of small-mindedness. So I think all these things should be put behind us. Let's play cricket in the spirit of the game.
You know, I just disagree with you slightly because I've pulled out the numbers on the potential financial losses for Pakistan if they decided to continue playing, if they decided not to play rather. There would be hosting fee losses, which could, you know, go up to $65 million. Match day revenue, that goes up between $6 to $10 million. Then the potential of ICC funding and sanctions, right? The annual payouts could be impacted. That's about 144 million distributed at about 35 to 38 million dollars annually.
Vishnu, those figures, I don't know where you're getting those figures from.
And legal penalties by broadcasters, which is, it could be
Broadcasters,
staggering.
legal penalties are on ICC, not on Pakistan.
No,
they're not on Pakistan.
Look, Geostar could sue you for damages. Each India-Pakistan fixture is valued at a staggering $250 million to $500 million. If Pakistan refuses to play, the ICC could in fact hit back at Pakistan. The broadcaster could be involved, you know, in a case.
No. The broadcaster has a case against the ICC. And by the way, the ICC broadcaster contracts take into account the fact that if such a series doesn't take place because of Pakistan-India, then they will deduct X, Y, Z from the BCCI, from the ICC's revenues.
Yeah.
Pakistan doesn't figure in it. Now, let me explain. I mean, at the end of the day, what does Pakistan get out of the net ICC revenues? 6%. Think of it. India gets close to 40%. England gets about 12-13%. Australia gets 12-13%. What does Pakistan get? 6%. I mean, you think of it. You think that makes a difference? 6% of the net revenues if we don't play the entire series and we lose all our arguments? And the ICC says, we are not going to pay you a penny out of this particular series. So the total revenue that ICC gets net of the costs of this, 5%. No big deal.
Okay.
No big deal.
All right, look, I mean, we can keep arguing or debating this, that's fine, but let's just hope that the cricket is good. Because
absolutely,
if there's one thing that sort of bonds people across both sides of the border, it is cricket at one level. Perhaps we'll talk about what else bonds people, but that's for another day. The situation is tense. There have been all sorts of reasons for that tension, but let the cricket go off in a sporting spirit. Thanks very much, Mr. Sethi.
I totally agree with you.
Thanks, very much, Mr. Sethi. Good to talk to you. Thank you.